Hi, everyone, and welcome to Life Creates Art. I am Shelly, and today we are going to talk about creating a canvas, painting, and then using clay with your painting. I am so excited about this because I love to do clay work and I also love to paint. So it was really exciting for me to compare the two. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to be talking to you about clay work and how you do it and how you can bake it in your oven and all of the different combinations and how you actually can add it to your canvas. And some of the things that I have done, I'm going to show you a few of those really quickly. We're going to go over that. And then we're going to, if you look back here, I've started a little painting here and I have already gone ahead and created a nose and I've created some lips, and we're just going to very quickly glue those on and then try to just make a face out of this. And I can show you how fun it is. So we're going to spend a little time doing that. But first, let me show you what you can do with some clay combinations. Right now I'm making a big, giant masterpiece, I call it. It's a commissioned piece of my aunt, and she's kind of losing her sight a little bit. So my cousin said, would you add some clay work to it so it's a little bit more of something she could touch and all of that. And so I added a lot of clay work to this. And of course, I can't show it to you because it is a work in progress, but I'll show you maybe a couple of pictures of a couple of parts of it, maybe the crown that I'm doing for her, and maybe some of the detailed jewelry of the saints that I did for it. However, I won't show you the whole thing, but it's really, really fun to create with a painted piece and make these elements jump out a little bit. So here's one of the pieces that I did. Very, very fun. This is one of the first ones that I did, actually. And then here is another one that I did. It's actually a series on depression because I went through a lot of depression. I have gone through a lot of depression. And this was a way that I showed to express myself. And I used a combination of, again, both art on a canvas, paint on a canvas, and the clay. Now, the clay is something that you have to be very careful of. You can't just go in and you can't just buy air dry clay. And this is going to be something that you're going to want to bake in the oven in order to make it strong enough to put on your canvas. And there are a couple of ways that you can use the air dry clay, but they should be smaller pieces and they should be something that you should let dry properly and then be using a lot of paint on. But in order to make it a really strong clay piece, you really should use the oven bake. Now, let me show you my depression series so you can see just what you can do. So I used this piece. I had an open little thing with an open window, and I created these hands, and I had always wanted to do hands. And I created these hands, and let's see how close I can get on some of these hands. And then I, of course, painted them, which is another way that you can express your art. You paint them on, paint the clay to make it look very, very dramatic. And then I glued them in and used these chains that I had. And, this one is called Trying to Break Free of the Depression. Of course, you feel like you're boxed in and you want to break free. And so that's what this one is called, the first part of the series. The second one is second part of the depression series. And this one's a little bit more difficult to see. It's called Fight Your Way Out. Now, if you can see, my purpose was to create a look that someone is suffocating. Now, the way that I did this was to make it a very 3D. The way that I did this was the clay piece is underneath. So I made a mask out of clay. And then what I did was I used tissue and I overlaid it over the clay mask. And then Mod Podge basically it over the clay mask using paint and color paint and the Mod Podge to just give it that suffocating look that I wanted. So it gives that 3D effect of someone really suffocating, which is kind of how you can feel when you are depressed. And now let me show you the third one, which is that time when you sort of break free from that depression and you feel really good. Here is one that I also made, and it's really easy actually to make flowers from clay, and I found that, and I can show you a start here too. And so this one is rising up from the ashes. And so I created, again, this was one of those canvas that had the little hole in the middle. And so I just used paper, black paper, to create something that appeared like ashes. And then I created out of clay this flower. And you just start from one little piece of clay and you work your way around towards the center, from the center, and then you work your way around towards the back, and then you put the leaves. So this is another way you can do this. And of course, then I painted the flower, and it's really, really dramatic, and it really gives your art that 3D effect. Now, let's get into how you can do this. So here I have this little tray, and I'm going to do the best I can to show this to you. Here we go. So the clay that I love to use is, now I'm used this because it's my favorite, but they have this in all different colors. Now, they did not have it in the flesh color that I like to use, but it's called Original Sculpey. Now, again, this would normally be a large block, but it's called Original Sculpey. And this is, and we'll get a picture and we'll probably put it in the link below. And so if you want to order it from here, you can. It'll be in the link below. But this is the one that you can put in the oven. Once you create it, you put it in on a sheet of wax paper, and you can put lots of them. Like I have a little circle here that's flat. I put my nose and my lips. I created some little balls like this and a little heart. And then I created a rose that I made. See this? And I created all of these things, and I put it on a sheet of wax paper on a cookie sheet. And then you bake it for about 250 degrees. And then you put it in for about 30 minutes, 250 degrees, 30 minutes. But after that, you need to check them, because not everything is going to be done after that amount of time. Some of these thinner things might be done and you can take them out. They're not going to feel done when they're in the oven, though. They're still going to feel a little squishy. But things that are thin like this, they're going to be done after 250 degrees and 30 minutes. However, things like this rose that are a little thicker and much more complicated, they're going to need more time. And so what I do is after 30 minutes, I generally will set my timer for another 10 and then look at it, set it for another 10, and then I look at it. Generally, I don't go more than about 50 minutes on things, but it really does depend. Now, things like my hand that was large and my big flower, those things were more like an hour and 10 minutes, but I did them in increments of 10 minutes because what I did not want was I did not want them to crack. You don't want them to reach a point where they're going to crack, and they will if you get them too hot, or they'll turn brown. You don't want them to do that. You don't want to overbake, and don't try to rush this process. Do not try to put it at 300 for 20 minutes. Do not try to put it at 350 for 10 minutes. This has to bake slow. Don't try to rush this process. You will end up with baked lips and noses, and they will crack, and they will be brown and black. So again, you can buy things like this that are air dry, but, and I, again, I have a big slab of this, but it's a little bit harder clay to work with. The Sculpey is very, very easy to work with. And this is less easy to work with. I just don't find it very easy to work with. However, it is air dry. You can leave it dry overnight, and yet it's not as strong as when you bake it. So keep that in mind. If you're doing something that you're going to do for yourself, fine. If you want it to, it's not as important, then you're doing a project for kids, okay, let it air dry. If you're doing a project that you want to last, or if you're going to sell it to someone else, bake it. Okay? Now, some other ideas. For example, I did this little ring that is going on my little commissioned piece. So I made a little gold ring with little balls on it. And then I took some glitter and put the glitter, I don't know if you could see it, put the glitter on top. I've got paint on my fingers. And so there's lots of different things that you can do. I sculpted this. This is St. Anthony. So you can use different sculpting tools. You can just get little basic ones. I usually use something that's got a little bit of a sharp point like this and a flat tip. And then I like something that's got flat tip and then a big round ball. And then I just use really something that I use every day, even for painting, for palette knife work, just my palette knife. So, but it's thin and it just can kind of flatten things out. But those are the three basic ones that I use. Now, what I want to do is I want to open up this clay, and if Jason, if you wouldn't mind just zooming in a little bit, and I can show everyone just how easy this clay is to move around in the fingers. And it's really, really simple to move around in your fingers. And I use a table like this just so I can sit here and I can watch TV while I'm working on my pieces. And so you just, to make a flower even, you just flatten it out. And you can sculpt it in your hand like this. And for a big flower, there's one of your petals right there. And then you set it down and you roll it up and you squish it again. And you just do it like this. And I'm just doing this really fast, just so you could see how easy it is. And there's your second petal. Okay, so you can see how easy a flower would be, and you just keep going and going and going and going and going. Let's move on to see how you can create an actual painting with your art pieces that you've created with clay. All right, so I've got a few of them here that I'm going to be using on this piece. And the glue I'm going to be using, which is a glue I highly recommend. I love this glue. I know it's really, people don't recommend glue a lot, but this is it's Scotch, and it's high performance repair glue actually. And it's got a precision applicator, but I don't use the applicator. But it's a high performance glue. And this glue, you hold it on for literally just a few seconds sometimes, and it just stays. It is wonderful. It dries clear. I love, love, love this glue, and I want to buy stock in the company just because of this glue. So we're going to get started on this. So let's go. Let's have fun. Okay. All right. So again, I'm going to be using the high performance repair glue, and normally I would maybe have painted the nose already or the lips, but in this case, you don't really have to, but you do whatever you want. It's really up to you to do whatever you like. And in this case, I'm going to put some of my glue in a little bowl, and I'm going to be brushing it on the back. And then I get to just pick where I'm going to want my nose. I'm going to put it right here. And then it's just a matter of holding it there. Now this is, of course, I don't have it planned out. I have nothing planned here. And this is kind of the fun of art. I've just got the shape of a head. I obviously have an ear, but I have nothing else planned. So I'm going to be working my eyes, even the lips, around everything else. I mean, for goodness sakes, I could put the lips right here if I wanted to. I just have zero planned. The fun of creating is not really knowing. See, I just held that there that long, and this is stuck. Now, if you want to be sure, you might want to hold it there just a little bit longer, but it's just the fun of creating and doing something that is by your instincts, with your gut. And sometimes you create some things that are just incredible and just amazing with your gut. All right, I'm going to put the mouth right there. And then we're going to go with this and see what we've got. Now again, see how fast this glue dries? It really depends on the temperature of your room as well, and how fast this dries and how fast it holds. If the temperature in your room is really cold, it might not dry as quickly. I also have a couple of round little balls that I want to put on here, again, just for fun. And I have no idea what they're going to turn into, but maybe I'll put one there. See, I was doing this yesterday on my big commissioned piece, and these were just falling like crazy because it was cold yesterday. Maybe I'll put that one there. I have no idea why. Again, just follow your art gut. And then we're going to start painting. Let's put that one there. So I'm going to do a little, maybe just a little bit of sketching out, some planning here. Figure out where I want things to go. Maybe I'll put my eyeball here. And maybe this eyeball is going to go here. It's going to look like that instead. Okay. I want him to have a bigger chin. Okay, this just gives me a better vision of sort of what I want. Eyebrows, and where I want to go with this. And start painting the lips. I'm going to go with a red just right off the bat on the lips. And be gentle, because you know that this glue is not 100% dry. So you have to be a little bit more gentle. And I'm being a little faster right now, obviously, because I'm trying to be sensitive of your time, but you want to go in here a little bit later and work on the details all around. And maybe you can get in there and really work on the shadowing in here. Because the clay work is not necessarily going to be very smooth. You don't necessarily want it to be. Our lips aren't perfect. Add a little shine there to them, since we have a little shine on our lips. So you can really see how you can create things that are 3D and how they can just jump off of your canvas and really create something fun and wonderful. And this is how you do it. And it's easy to do. So 250 degrees, something like this probably takes about 45 minutes, maybe 50 minutes. And the great thing is with the clay that does not need, that bakes in the oven, you can leave it out. You can just leave it out overnight. You don't have to cover it or anything. Just leave it out overnight. I usually cover mine with a little something, but it will not dry in the air. And again, I am rushing here because I want to be sensitive of your time. However, this is something you can do. Like I would clean that up, obviously, and clean this up. There you go. So again, this is how you would create something, and you might want to do it for your ear as well. Make an ear, or make just part of the ear. And make a little point of interest here. I didn't wash my... But this is how you do it. So I wanted to show you what you can do and how to do it. Something that will be of interest on your art, on your painting. How it can jump off of your painting and make it really, really interesting. So I hope you have enjoyed this, and I certainly have, and I'll continue to work on this, obviously, and I will maybe show you what I come up with, but since I do have a commissioned piece that I'm working on, that's kind of priority. But my main goal was to show you what you can do with an art piece and how you can enhance it with clay. And I I hope you try it. If you do try it, don't forget to show me on Life Creates Art on Facebook. I would love, love, love to see your work. And go below for any clay. We'll have the links down below, and we'll even try to find this glue because I need some too. This is Shelly with Life Creates Art, and I love and adore you all, and I'll see you later. Okay, bye.